Hi everyone, in this video I wanted to go over my experiences with laser eye surgery. It's only been about 4 days since my surgery, and so while it's still fresh on my mind and I can remember the things I experienced and wish I had prepared for, that I thought I'd put it down on video in case it might be helpful to someone. I'll really just go over the procedure itself, what to expect immediately after, up to the day after, as well as the rest of the week, and next also to highlight some of the my thoughts about different aspects of that procedure. So let me just go through the procedure beginning the day of the surgery itself. Just to note that this is really not a review about a particular clinic that I went to. So not only will I not really review it, but also I won't name them to make it as applicable to as many people as possible. So let me just go over the day of the procedure. So the first thing is that roughly the whole time I was in the clinic was probably 4 hours. In the the operating area or operating room was only about 20 minutes. The first thing they'll do is they'll just redo all the measurements, which they've done before or should have done before in an earlier consultation. And that's one is to make sure there's nothing unexpected that they didn't see before. But additionally, it's just one more extra data point for them to figure out if the prescription that they're going to try to correct for you is accurate. Right, so that's the first step. And then the second one is, of course, signing consent forms, getting eye drops that you'll use throughout the week. The last thing is you also get safety glasses, essentially tinted safety glasses, so that it protects your eyes on the way home, as well as the first night you actually have to sleep with it so that you don't like accidentally bump your eyes while you're sleeping. Right, so after you do all of that, then the procedure itself begins. So you enter the operating area. The doctor does kind of check a few things by themselves first, whereas before it was just other technicians, tells you about the procedure and so on. So the first thing to mention is I got something called advanced custom wavefront LASIK. So it is the LASIK procedure. They create a corneal flap and then they do the ablation after. And so it's a 2 laser procedure. And to begin with, they put numbing drops on your eyes so that I guess it's kind of a local anesthetic of sorts. So you lie down on the table, then they do both your left and right eye for the corneal flap part, and then they push you over to the other laser where they then do the ablation part, the wavefront part. So for the corneal flap part, so you lie down. On this. They've already applied. They apply the numbing eye drops. They put that kind of forceps-looking thing to keep your eyes open, and they give you like stress balls and stuff like that in case you get kind of nervous. So you're not really held down by anything, just that your eyes are held open and you have numbing eye drops. So it's really important that you're actually kind of calm during the whole procedure as well. It is important, and I'm glad that the surgeon that I had a good kind of bedside manner, just kind of making sure you're okay and like talking you through the whole procedure. So the way the corneal flap procedure works, I mean, I don't exactly know how it works, but what it is they have kind of this ring that they kind of press into your eye. And I'm not sure if that's just like a template and the laser comes from elsewhere, or the laser is coming out through that ring. But I assume that's really the thing that will shape the corneal flap. So they push it right up onto your eye, and then they have that procedure, and then the doctor kind of lifts the flap, I think. So this is kind of the critical part, because I think this is the part where you do kind of get the realization that your vision is changing, or this is kind of like a this is it moment. And what it looks like to me is when if you have a camera and you kind of defocus on a gray area, that's what your vision kind of begins to look like. And apparently it's like you're seeing through the gas bubbles, and I guess the gas bubbles are escaping as the doctor has lifted the flap. I guess that's what it's supposed to be. Anyway, they do it to one eye. They close that eye with they tape it over or something, or to protect it, and then they switch over to your other eye, lift the flap there as well, and then from there they kind of just slide you over to the next laser setup. So So they do both corneal flap opening first, and then they do both ablation next. And so they did that laser ablation step. And yeah, it's I guess there's nothing really too much to say about it. You don't really know what's going on. You just look at some green light and it happens to you. Again, this procedure itself is actually only like maybe 30 seconds or a minute per eye max total time between the two machines. So you're really not under the laser for any long period of time. Afterwards, they close the flap. They do apply the first series of eye drops. So maybe it's a good time for me to mention it now. So you do get 3 eye drops. This is for you to apply, to take home and apply yourself pretty much for the rest of the week. But the 3 eye drops is, one is antibacterial, one is anti-inflammatory, and one is just hydration. So it's just like, sustained eye drops. But the other 2 are medicated or prescription. For the first day, you're supposed to apply those once an hour. And so they basically just give you the first dose on the table so that you don't have to do it for the next while. So they close the flap. They give you the first dose of the medicated drops, and then the doctor just goes and checks your eye to make sure the flap closed and there's nothing obviously wrong. And from there, you're kind of just sent home. You wear the safety glasses. Oh, right, did I mention? So this is what the safety glasses look like, at least for me. It's different for maybe someone else I know. Basically just got eye cups with holes in it, and then they had to tape it on with Scotch tape. So I guess it depends. But these things, actually, you can see from the brand, it says Dentec. So I think these are just tinted glasses that dental hygienists would use during when they clean your teeth. So, and that's what they look like to me. Anyway, that's what I had to wear to go home, and as well, that's what I wore to sleep. Right, so they send you home, and so just to outline the rest of the procedure, what usually happens is, now that you're home, you're supposed to apply the eye drops once an hour, each of the 3 eye drops once an hour until bedtime. And then the following 4 days, so you only apply the eye drops 4 times a day for the next 4 days, and then really that's it, except the hydrating ones you maybe keep going until it runs out, but the medicated ones you stop. The other thing too is the next day you go for a 24-hour checkup, and they use that to make sure that nothing happened to your eyes, that the flap did not move in the first 24 hours, which is critical, and then that's it. Again, I'll just mention just the procedure first, and I'll just come back with my thoughts after. So the next day I went back. It was just, again, like an optical technician who kind of looked at my eyes. They kind of did like a red-green contrast thing, like, can you see clearly a text in front of a red background or a green background? I'm not quite sure why that's what they're checking for, but they did that. They didn't do a full eyesight measurement, but I could tell that I could read maybe the second last row, and I could at least guess at the last row. Although I don't, he didn't tell me if it was way off or not, but I think it's just a general checkup to see that nothing has gone wrong, and the expectation is that your eyesight will kind of improve. Now let me go back and highlight my experiences, right after each step. So right after the procedure, the operating procedure, I could pretty much see. One thing though is that there is kind of like a haze in front of your eyes, and I think it might be related to like the halo effect, the halation effects, and just that everything that is either bright, like whether it's the light itself or like a bouncing off of a white background, kind of gives you like an extra halo, and so everything has that halo, and so it feels like there's kind of a haze. They say it's like if you're underwater, trying to see underwater. But I could obviously, let's say, see the time on the clock based on the position of the minute and hour arrows, right? So I could already see, and then I can get home. The vision was already better than when I was wearing glasses, but I took them off and tried to walk around with it. So it's already improved. So that was a good sign. So one thing they do tell you is that after the procedure, you're supposed to do once an hour eye drops for the first day. But they tell you it's better just to take a nap or to sleep it off. Like, don't try, if you're going to sleep, don't try to like, don't bother to like wake up and put an eye drop on the hour. Just sleep through it. And so I suggest that you do that as well. And the reason being, so the numbing drops they put on you before the surgery actually numbs you from the pain, and it roughly lasts like 3 hours after. And it's later that night that you actually start to feel the searing pain in your eyes. I would actually say it's not that extremely painful. But it's really uncomfortable. And what I mean by that is, well, two things. One is, there is some pain, so that's for sure. The second thing is your eyes are actually really, really watery. And the other thing related to that is for a while, I could not even open my eyes for more than 2 seconds, especially in looking at a bright light. And by bright, I just mean even looking at my phone, right? So the brightness of your phone was already too much for me to bear. And this was true probably till like 11 that night, so from 4 p.m. So I did my procedure at 4 p.m. By 6 or 7 p.m. I already started feeling the pain. And then all throughout until maybe 11 p.m. Then I really felt things got better. Yeah, so you do get that searing pain. So the other thing that is surprising that I didn't think about was your nose gets really, really runny. And so it's kind of interesting that this is how kind of your body deals with the trauma that goes to your eyes. They basically send all the white blood cells and everything and the mucus generation to your face just to make sure they're attacking it well. So like I probably went through like half a box of Kleenex just to blowing my nose, trying to wipe stuff away from eye crud from my face and things like that. I didn't really get much sleep. I think I don't know why, but anyway, I didn't really get much sleep. I really should have. And then the next day, I went through that follow-up exam. And by the afternoon of the next day, I was actually kind of normal. I was kind of functional. I could, get on the computer and actually start reading stuff. Other thing I would say is, as I said, like the pain was really there from 6 o'clock to 11 o'clock p.m. But I kind of had that realization at 11 p.m. that, I could see the microwave light, the time on the microwave, which was the only lit thing in my room at that time. From across the room. So that's when I'm like, oh, I can see now. And so, that's when it really hit me that, my eyes have really improved. One thing is, they do tell you to sleep with the safety glasses for the first night so that you kind of don't rub your eyes at night or hit it against a pillow or something accidentally while you're sleeping. And it was really only for the first 24 hours, but I just decided I'll just keep wearing it until at least the end of the week. So as I said, for the rest of the week, you have to use those eye drops, but down to 4 times a day, and the medicated ones only until the end of the week, and the hydration one, the Cystane, probably till it runs. Oh, I'll probably just do it till it runs out for the rest of the month, let's say. In terms of vision, even up 11 o'clock at night on the first day, I already could see well. My vision test the next day, I could read the last letter a little bit. And from that first day to now, which is 4 days later, I would say that the vision is actually kind of stable. I could see, but I can tell it's not 100%. There's still the halo stuff is still there, for sure. And so they say that may take weeks to months to fully go away, so I'll just wait for that. So that's definitely still there. So but I feel like my vision from day 2 to day 4 now is roughly about the same. All right, I can see fine print. I can see normally except for the haze part, and I can even read fine print. I'm not sure if I'm reading a 20/20 or not, but so one thing is like I do have high astigmatism before, and so when I was wearing contacts, I was given contacts that were the closest to my vision, but they, short of giving me custom contacts, this is the best they can do because it's the only, they have it like off the shelf grades, and so I would kind of compare it to that. It's kind of like seeing with slightly suboptimal contact lenses is what I feel like, to the point where sometimes I kind of think I do have it, and I'm like gonna try to reach for my eye to try to adjust the contact lens. But anyway, so that's really the whole process. Just to maybe go back through some of the finer points. So yeah, so the big thing I would say, the big surprise was the kind of the pain in that first 6 hours. I think if I had known, I should have really tried to sleep things off until like midnight that day, or like force myself just to sleep until the next day. And I think that totally would have been possible because you're really drained from it as well. Like I didn't have an appetite right after that thing, and for the next 3 days, like I slept longer than I normally do. So the other thing to mention is some kind of preparation. So I'm kind of glad I already did some, but just to highlight a few of the things. So as I said, number one is you really can't keep your eyes open for too long, and also you're super sensitive to light. So making sure that you have blackout curtains and like stuff like that. I had to try to board up my window a little bit with some foam board, and I also used binder clips to make sure the curtains light doesn't leak through when the curtain opens. So I did that before I went for the surgery, and I'm glad I did that. Other things too, like I think some of these things doesn't matter as much if you live with someone else or can have someone to help you, but like making sure like I had enough food for a while. So yeah, as soon as I realized like I couldn't even open my eyes long enough to even stare at a iPhone screen, I'm like, how am I gonna cook, right? So, but luckily I did have prepared stuff in advance, so I just needed to microwave them. So related to that, so I realized, while I was kind of in that first 6 hours, I started feeling like sand in my eye sensation, and I was trying to Google, LASIK, sand in your eye. What does it mean, kind of thing, but I couldn't even see the answer, so I'm like, oh crap, right? And so I'm not, I was afraid that I could feel that sand in my eye feeling, because maybe there was a sand in my eye, or maybe like the flap moved. That's why I was worried. But really, if you know and have gotten eye infections in the past before, it actually has the same feeling. So I think this is probably just related to that, your eye is trying to fight whatever trauma is out there. And so yeah, it was nothing to worry about. But yeah, at that point, I was kind of worried. Oh, the other thing too that maybe they don't tell you is you really shouldn't shower above your neck they said up to a week, because they don't want the water pressure from the shower head to hit your eye. And so yeah, you have to figure out some way around that, whether you kind of just use wipes on your face, don't wash your hair for a few days, something like that. In the end, I kind of did something like that the first day, but the next day I kind of washed my hair like in the way they would do it at like a barber shop, so that it won't get in your eyes. And then I just washed like half my face with and then I just used like a face wipe or something for the for the forehead. Yeah, I think that's kind of the most important bits. Like, I'm happy to answer any questions that people will have about the specific parts of the procedure or the kind of the first week after. Again, this is only 4 days since the surgery, so can't say anything about the long term, but I'm pretty happy so far with how things have gone.